Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We'll get to those here in a little bit. We've got a lot to talk about on this Monday morning, but normally, guys, we start with football. We're going to switch gears today. Start with a little basketball because it was a Texas OU weekend for basketball, and Texas comes out victorious, fellas.
I'm sorry about this, Jerry. You're gonna have to lead the way here. But, I know your Sooners. You're so proud of your Sooners, Jerry. I'm kidding.
It was a rough weekend for CJ Vogel and John Mateer.
There we go. Men's basketball took it home on Saturday, Jerry. I know you watched it beginning to end.
Yeah, look, Oklahoma came out and was on fire to start. Nigel Pack, really good offensive player. Xavier Brown, the other guard's a really good scorer as well. They had some energy. It was almost like their dead cat bounce for Oklahoma this year. I think they were 1-7 in conference play. They had 3 rough losses. 2 points at home to Bama, 4 points at home to Arkansas, a point on the road to Missouri. They've been in a lot of games. It's a great conference, so your seasons can go that direction quickly in a Big Ten or an SEC. And Oklahoma's had. And they're probably going to have a coaching change, even though I think Porter Moser's a really good basketball coach. They just need to support their next guy with a little more NIL, in my opinion. But Texas fought back in this game. They were down early by 14-15, fought their way back, just kind of grinded through the first half to keep that thing within reach, closed it at the end of the half. It was tied at one point, then Oklahoma hit a 3. But going into the locker room, I thought, okay, Texas is lucky to be down 3 because Oklahoma played really well in the first few minutes of that game. And then Texas just battled and scrapped their way back. Second half, obviously, Texas scored 49 points. So another 79-point game on the road. Texas is averaging 81 points per game on the road in SEC play. Texas is 8th or 9th in the country in offensive efficiency. Raise your hand if you thought you'd see a Texas basketball team do that anytime soon. I'm not raising my hand. That's pretty impressive this season in year one. But Dalen Swain played ridiculously high level. Matas had 14 and 6, but Texas went to a little different lineup to really gain control of that game in the second half. Some people said they went small. I don't really think they went small. I think they spread the floor a little bit more and took the postman out of the paint. And Lucina Traore played at 15, 17 feet and kept swinging the ball side to side. So I think Texas stretched out that Oklahoma defense from side to side on the court and it took away the low block player. And they gained a lot of driving space in that game. And they could put Oklahoma's defense in a different type of pressure situation. But Kendall Weaver played really well in the first half. Second half, obviously Dalen Swain. I thought what Sean Miller said was really good. That he's more valuable to his team than any other player in the SEC. I'm sure some people would argue that, but I think Dalen Swain's been that good. Jordan Pope played well down the stretch. Number of guys. Simeon Wilcher found his offense for the first time in a while. That's a good sign. Cam Hyde continues to shoot the heck out of the ball, 52% from 3 on the season. Going into last week, I said Texas needed 1 win on the road. Auburn was a tough matchup for Texas, and obviously all Texas fans would have taken the win over Oklahoma versus over Auburn. But they got their 1 win, and now the next 4 set up pretty well for this team. They're at 4-5 in SEC play. If they can win 3 the next 4, that's South Carolina at home tomorrow night. Oh, Chris Beard's coming to town, and that he's going to make it a battle on Saturday. He's been in almost every game they've lost this year, 6 of their first 9 on the road. So Ole Miss had a really tough schedule to start. The guy's a tremendous coach. But if Texas can handle their business at home this week, they're set up pretty well to make a run at getting in the NCAA tournament. So great job. Sean Miller's 500th career win. So congrats to him. Right after this show, I'll just let people know Jeff Howe and myself are doing a 15-minute interview with Sean Miller, which will air on Texas Football later today or tomorrow. So Sean Miller's going to talk to us for about 15 minutes about the season, about the recruiting class, building a program. We got a couple other things we want to talk to him about. So Texas men, really good win. They did what they needed to do last week, get 1 or 2 on the road, and now they've set themselves up with these next 4 games. If they can go 3-1 in the next 4, then I think things are going to start looking pretty decent for making the NCAA tournament in year 1.
Porter Moser, the OU coach, now 1-8 against the Longhorns, that will get you fired if you're an Oklahoma football coach or baseball coach, basketball coach, you name it, coach. You go 1-8 against the Longhorns, you're probably not going to last that much longer. What does that say about the OU women's programs? Blake, you were at the game on Sunday, taking it in. Texas taking the Sooners on in Austin. Game day was there. Texas wins by 8, but it looked to me like the score differential was much larger most of the game and only got a little tighter later as it went on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they dominated the first half, they being Texas. Man, and great atmosphere. It was sold out, a lot of people there, and it was cool to see. You had like volleyball there. You had the softball team there, a lot of football team. Jonah Williams had his pom-poms. He was celebrating nonstop, So very, very cool atmosphere. But yeah, they dominated that first half. Marcus was actually there, and he'll be joining us here in a minute. But him and I were talking, and we both thought that that second half, it was like halftime kind of took the wind out of the sails for a little bit. Texas was at almost a 20-point lead, but for the most part, like you said, Bobby, it did feel like it was much larger than what the score indicates here, and they put it away. But man, very physical, very tough game. We got to see Vic get really, really, really mad. And I was telling Jerry and Bobby before, I was like, the TV broadcast did that no justice because it started way before the cameras picked him up. But yeah, great game, great atmosphere. And Texas, of course, wins 78-70. So another big win for Vic.
What I was going to say about that game, watching it is, Blake, Rod, and myself had a great interview with Vic Schaefer late last week. And we talked about having a Leah Crump back, how big that was for Texas. What that does for Texas women's team, that gives them 3 consistent scoring threats. Aaliyah Crump is coming off the bench at 12 points. Justice Carlton also played a great game. But they have 3 perimeter scoring threats on this team this year, and who legitimately have to be game planned for in one way or the other. And I think that Aaliyah Crump being back is the differentiator for Texas offensively. And Vic talked about having to put that group together the best way on defense. But when you have Jordan Lee and you have Aaliyah Crump out there, Madison Booker has more space to operate. You have a much more spread floor, and you are a tougher team to defend over the course of a 40-minute game. And I think you're seeing that offensively. She gives Texas that extra perimeter weapon they need. When you think about long-term in the NCAA tournament, later SEC tournament, LSU's coming to town Thursday, but just the rest of the season, her being back healthy is a big, big deal for Texas because you have to be able to spread. You have to be able to create your spacing. If you ever get into one of those games against a UConn who shoots the hell out of the ball, you have to be able to create space on the other end to make them work too. And I think Aaliyah Crump was big. How Oklahoma kind of got back into this game, Blake, and I know we'll talk to Marcus about this. He was there. Was that 55-footer half for Oklahoma? Because that game was 40-21. And going into the locker room, they were deflated. But, you hit one shot, a 55-footer, and you say, all right, it gave them a little energy because, look, I thought they looked deflated. Obviously, Texas did a great job on Aaliyah Chavez. We talked about this when she was coming out of high school. There's a reason she wasn't actually Caitlin Clark, even though people were comparing her to that. She's a really good player. She's a tremendous player. She'll play in the WNBA. She's having a really good season. But if you take away her scoring, she doesn't have the playmaking to create for others that Caitlin Clark had. And she's 5'9" versus 6 foot. That's the difference you saw. Even though she's a great player coming out of high school, we talked about it on here. I said, look, she ain't Caitlin Clark now. Caitlin Clark, if the shots weren't falling, she still did everything for her team to make their job easier to score basketball. And Aaliyah Chavez is going to have to grow in that regard. But not many people naturally have what a Caitlin Clark has, what a TJ Ford and those people have that can just create for others just instinctively and naturally. That's the difference between those two players, along with about 2.5, 3 inches height.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to bring Marcus in just a second. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, we'd like to thank our sponsor, John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management. Just last week, Longhorn Wealth Management received the prestigious honor being recognized as a member of the Longhorn 100 for 2026. It's awarded to and bestowed upon Texas X's each year of the top 100 fastest growing companies in the world that were founded, owned, or led by UT alumni. John and his team at Longhorn Wealth are ecstatic and proud to have earned this grand recognition. As you know, John's a proud Texas X's Life member who truly bleeds burnt orange. His wife and 6 siblings are all UT grads as well. So it's his family passion for UT that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management Group, and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services to Longhorn families and fans across the nation, which John's been doing for more than 30 years. John wants to celebrate the Longhorn 100 award recognition by offering all OTF fans a free private consultation in person, via Zoom, or phone to allow John to help you explore how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your own free private consultation, just call John and the Longhorn Wealth Team, 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net. John sends a special Longhorn 100 hook'em to all the OTF family. Thanks, John, for your support of On Texas Football.
Well, it's time for that Marcus Myers Monday. Good morning, Marcus. Oh, you're muted, though.
You got some issues. We can't hear you. We'll come back to you in a minute. There we go. We'll get him back.
He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Offsides on Marcus. It's his first 5-yard penalty in quite some time, I'm guessing.
I was talking about that. I actually heard someone speaking about Vince Young was talking about it on that podcast. Said all these offsides and false starts, that's not on the coaches. That's on the players. All these false starts and stuff that happened last year. What do y'all think? Is that all on the players? Some of it can be, what do you think?
When you commit that many penalties, I there's times where it is, but it's also been an ongoing problem, and the players have changed. So that's why it's hard to put it all on the players, because the players have changed, and that high penalty percentage or bad ranking has continued to get worse in recent years. So the players have changed, and the results are kind of staying the same. So that's the only way I'd have a little disagreement with Vince on that.
That's something to talk about a little bit later. Let's bring in Marcus. See if we can correct the problems. Marcus, give us a.
Am I back?
You're
back.
All right, we're back. I don't know what that was. That was weird.
Okay. Yeah,
morning,
you still sound a little echoey, but good morning and welcome in here, bud. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Like Blake said, I got a chance to see him yesterday at the game, so it was good to get out there and enjoy the women, putting a good victory up against OU.
Oh, did you smile this weekend after beating OU twice, one on the road and then one at home?
You can't beat that, man. You get a good little OU sweep back-to-back days there. And it's kind of like Blake said, it was interesting, like coming out after the second half, I think people were, feeling pretty good about some of the gap, that had already been created. To Jerry's point, the person whoever that made that deep, three, like right at the end of the first half, she was really the one keeping OU in the game the entire time. And Chavez, numbers looked slightly better by the end, but it was kind of like a last, second shot she had there to get it within 10 points. But the thing that was really killing me was free throws, and then they were missing a lot of gimmies in the second half. So they kind of, had let OU stay a little closer than you would have liked. But what I did appreciate is anytime, maybe they cut it to like 9 or something, Madison would have a quick answer. She just get to her spot and make a nice little jumper or something. So they're definitely going to have to bring it on Thursday against LSU. But it was a fun game. Crowd was packed, and it was even cool to see Coach Vicky went and grabbed the mic, afterwards and thanked the crowd for being there. So I think they got a good thing rolling, and especially with the Leah Crump now, they can start gelling a bit more and figure it out down the stretch here.
Hey, Marcus, Blake was talking about how Jonah Williams was there, some of the football team. Yeah. Is that what you like to see? And that's part of what I like to see in college sports, when other teams are there rooting on. Like when the volleyball team goes to see the football team and vice versa. Part of being a college student, really, that's a little bit different than, you don't see the pro team going and rooting on the local basketball team, really.
Right.
You do see that in college, though. Is that part of the college experience, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so, man. You love to see that kind of stuff. I mean, we were real cool with, and I'm not sure how they stagger when and where they eat these days, but back when I was playing, like, we were all really cool with PJ and Royale and all those guys, and so we would go to their games, they would come to ours, baseball, track, you name it, and we were kind of all on fire at the time. So it was one of those, like, you wanted to support one another because you were all excelling at a really high level. And so I think that's always the sign of a healthy program. But yeah, it was great seeing a number of those, different teams and stuff on hand to be able to support the ladies yesterday for a really big game.
Marcus, you're looking at Texas right now and what they've done this offseason in football. I want to get the little football talk. Texas added a commitment over the weekend, Elijah Ali, a defensive lineman out of California, bringing Texas to 23 commitments, I believe, for the class of 2026. We talk about this with Jerry, and we talked about it last week, and the number of different ways that Texas has tried to fill its roster this season, not just via the portal, not just via standard recruiting, but also recruiting guys even into the last minute, like Elijah Ali. The importance of that, in your opinion, and what it brings to the table come spring ball and into the season?
Yeah, I think it's really important, to your point, Bobby, especially for spring ball. You want to make sure you have, enough depth in the right places to be able to do what you want to do throughout the spring. Make sure that you feel like you have a good idea of, what your team is heading into the summer. But I think as, you get further and further into next season, it's going to be important to be able to keep guys fresh. And I think what they've done in the portal, if you look, at a lot of the team, they've remade it in a way where they have a significant presence of upperclassmen now, but that's also a good blend with the younger guys that are coming in. So you can have a number of people that have had experience and help, kind of show guys how to work. I think that's a big part of it. Is just the way in which you work at the college level and go about your business and your craft. It's not just the time that the coaches, designate or allowed to, be around you. It's all the little things that you're going to do before and after. I remember one of the biggest, things that kind of stuck with me. Now, granted, we didn't always, live by this, but I remember Brian Davis telling us on one of our very first days that the toughest thing you're going to have to decide as a freshman is when you go to sleep and when you get up, because there's not, mom or dad or whoever in the house, to come by and kind of rattle your cages a bit if you're, moving slow one morning. And it didn't really click until, like, you look up and you're hanging around with your boys in the dorm or something and playing video games, and you got to be up early the next morning, for workouts. So I think the way that they've recruited and the different ways in which they've kind of pieced this thing together has actually been really impressive to me. And, to your point, leaving no stone unturned and still finding a couple guys late in the cycle that you can still sign out of high school is going to be important, because I think what will happen is you'll just have a redistribution of, how, some of these guys are paid. It'll be a smaller number of, the high school guys, and then probably the proper expectation set for the rest, so that it's known, hey, you're a development guy and we don't necessarily need you right away, but we want to, see how you come along.
Hey, I got to ask you, because we're going to bring up a poll question here in a second, and what the YouTube viewers rated the Texas portal efforts this year.
Okay.
What do you, before we do that, how would you grade Brandon Harris, Steve Sarkisian, the entire Texas personnel staff as far as how they did in the portal this year?
I would probably give them a B+. And the only thing maybe keeping it from an A is just, it would have been nice if there were a true marquee interior offensive lineman that you had been able to land. But, when it got down to it, there weren't really many that actually entered the portal. So I think, or entered the portal and didn't, ultimately just choose to go back where they were, right? Like, there weren't really big exchanges like that across the country. Some teams, when it managed to grab, a person here or there. But if you look at what was there before, it was essentially nothing, right? So they were upgrading from, maybe the worst to like just a little bit better. So I thought that, all in all, they did a really good job of addressing needs. I mean, even down to the wide receiver you just picked up from Wake Forest. That's a guy that has some experience that can, help. And so I think kind of at every level they did a number of things to really address it, especially offensively. When you look at the weapons that they provided Arch going into the season to, combine with what's already there, I was really impressed with the job that they did it. And, I know there was a lot of angst, and I mean, it was very much a roller coaster. All of y'all know how, crazy it was, for those first couple of weeks. But when it was all said and done, I was really impressed with, how they brought it all together. So I gave them a B+.
Yeah, let's look at this. Everybody pretty consensus between that B, A, and B level, basically. 96%. I think everybody agrees over 2,000, 2,500 votes, 2,700 votes. I think that's in line with what everybody's thinking right now. I would say this. One thing I want to mention, see what Jerry thinks about this too.
Yeah.
Jerry, he mentioned the lack of success necessarily at offensive guard for a premier name. What would Brandon Baker, as an offensive guard, where would he have been rated as an interior offensive lineman in the portal? If you said, I'm going to give this guy to you as a guard, where would he have been rated compared to like top 5 guards? Top 25? I mean, give people a sense of what you think there.
I'll just put it simply for people. LSU would have wanted him. I mean, is that enough for anybody? I mean, Lane Kiffin would have targeted him. So that's about that. That's the way I look at it, is if a guy goes into the portal, is who is he wanted by? Brandon Baker.
Ohio State would have wanted him, etc.
They wanted him out of high school. I mean, that I definitely think so. I want to comment on this. The 1% at D or F, I imagine that's A&M and Oklahoma fans. If not, it must be a Texas fan that lives the most perfect and pristine life of all time. They can only be one of two things.
Absolutely. But as it relates to that, I think my point on it all is I think that a B+ is eternally fine. I think an A and A- is fine. Anything below that, and I think your expectations are a little out of whack. And maybe part of this whole thing is retention. Mm-hmm. And there were only a couple guys that I think really hurt Texas from a retention standpoint. And while they were able to go out and get somebody to replace a Trey Weiser, I think they may have lost somebody in like a young Nick Brooks. That was hard for them to – a really talented guy that still was a year away probably from being a major player for them. But long story short, I think overall, job well done. Jerry, you have anything for Marcus before we get going here?
No, I'm like Marcus. I'd B+ too, which I think in the portal, and I said this on our show, B+ is a really high grade because the only people I looked at and said, okay, A, would have been an LSU, but they had so many needs. I mean, they had 40-something players they signed in the portal. So a Penn State, which I think they're probably graded too low, probably was in that group because they had so many guys they needed in the portal. I thought Texas did a really good job. You're never going to get you're not in high school recruiting. You're not in portal. I mean, and the portal's super wild. Now, I mean, it's Marcus, you're a guy that follows recruiting. You went through a recruiting process. You follow recruiting, though. You watch as much tape as any guys that we have on here when it's not your job to do so. What would you make of the 2 weeks in the portal, the first year of the 2 week, this first year that there's one portal window? Because I've said before in my 2+ decades, and I don't know where Bobby's at, that was the craziest 2 weeks of my career covering it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and especially, kind of learning this on the fly and getting to see a bit behind the scenes like you guys, it was very wild, man. Like, we were talking every day about different possibilities, and you hear rumor mill stuff, and then you got social media involved, and just, of course we have, our awesome fans chiming in, but they want it, what they want, and they want it now. So it was a roller coaster, and I can imagine what it would be like to be someone that is going through that, right? A young man that's trying to make a decision that they feel is best for themselves, but they're also, weighing what different people are, sharing with them, and it's their inner circle, but you hope that that inner circle has the right motives. And it's a different style of thing, right? Like it's not so much like the high school recruiting. It is much more business-like, but there's elements to it that, depending on who you are and who is around you and the way in which you're being counseled, different people approach it. I pointed out a number of times, like, look at the difference of how Cam Coleman approached it versus Jordan Seaton, right? And I mean, it I guess ultimately you're hoping that these guys are getting the best counsel as possible and making the best decision for them. And there's always going to be, probably three sides to, every story, right? Like, there's the schools, and then the truth is probably closer somewhere in the middle. So yeah, I can't really imagine what it would have been like for me as a player trying to go through something like that. But it was definitely a wild 2 weeks, on this side of things. It just, at any given moment, news is dropping, you're trying to run it down or figure out, who you might know that's close to it. All the while, trying to maintain the same expectations, right? And I think for me, what I kept on, trying to preach as best I could was, I'll make my final determination on this thing once it's closed and the dust is kind of settled. And I think, the natural inclination of kind of this day and age is, nah, like, we got microwaves, man. Like, I want it now. I don't really want anything that's in the oven. So,
hey, Bobby, Blake and Marcus in the chat, the one poll that I would love to see come out of this portal cycle is 10,000 kids polled who regrets their decision, who thinks they made the right decision.
Yeah.
I would love to see all 10,000 have to answer that question.
Yeah. And what's your satisfaction level with it? All of that stuff. That's called giving them a voice, man.
Yep.
I think that needs to happen. We've talked about it from that perspective. Hey, Marcus, curious, just call this curious of me. You saw it from the internal standpoint of us reporting on it.
Yeah.
What did you think? And you were on our text threads.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your thoughts on seeing it? You've seen it from a player level. You've never seen it from a reporter's level. What were you surprised by? What were you not surprised by? What was your takeaway from that standpoint? Like, seeing it on the inside, how the sausage is made on our end, I guess.
Yeah, I was, I was surprised not because of, sometimes you're just pleasantly surprised that you see how things work in concert together and work well. And so obviously, like, everybody sees the end product, but when you see, kind of the inner workings of it, like, y'all really are, it's a team. Like, everything is a team effort. There's times where, different things pop up. And I think for the most part, the viewership never has any idea, save like if we actually, share something with them on it. But just seeing how well everybody works together, how quickly, things can come together, especially during that 2 weeks, because time was always of the essence. I think the thing that didn't really surprise me was, I think with me knowing a number of folks kind of in the football community, if you will, and just in different sports in general, it didn't surprise me, like, the level of, like, rumors and stuff that, we're trying to kind of check on the back end before, it's released to the public, because, I've had friends in different spots and coaches in different, university, NFL level. I got friends that have been Olympians and you name it. And it's the same in all of their circles, right? It's like, hey, did you hear about this? Oh, well, there's some truth to that. Well, not really. This what this person is saying. So that didn't really surprise me. It was just kind of cool to see it, like you said, Bobby, through a different lens. And I really enjoyed it. It's the thing that's kept me, wanting to do it. It's fun to talk about, the program that's meant so much to me. But the hope is that, we're keeping things grounded, providing some levity, but also, like, I think you guys do a really, really good job of having a high standard of work and not compromising that for the sake of being first or, saying something that maybe would refute what another outlet, put out. I think y'all do a really good measured job of how you deliver. And I try to just get in where I fit in with all of that. So it's been fun.
Here's the big follow-up, Marcus. You ready to do a recruiting road trip with me to Florida?
I'm down. Let's go. I got time for it. Now I know you like to drive it all. I may hit a flight
I'll
and
pick you up at an airport.
I'll meet you. Yeah, I'll meet you halfway somewhere. And
You missed the Mobile. You missed the Mobile and New Orleans stops, though.
Hey, well, New Orleans. Yeah, that's true. But I can get there pretty quick.
All right, Marcus, thank you so much, bud. Appreciate you
Absolutely.
continue to be part of On Texas Football family here with us. Mondays with Marcus Myers. Hook him, Marcus.
All right, now. Welcome. See you later.
I should have asked him if he's going to go to that to the women's game on Thursday night for LSU.
Hey, Blake, I dare you to go dressed as Kim Mulkey.
Marcus is going to go as Kim Mulkey. Okay.
Somebody needs to. Somebody from the OTF family. I'll send y'all the picture of what to buy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good stuff. All right, guys. We got some super chats. We got more to talk about, obviously. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Mint Mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. No problems there. With my son going away to college, it's something my family took advantage of very early, and now I've changed over as well. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com. That's mintmobile.com /OnTexas. That's mintmobile.com /OnTexas. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com /OnTexas. $45 upfront payment is required. That's equivalent to that $15 a month I talked about. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, about 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Again, mintmobile.com /OnTexas.
And Jerry, if you'll tell us about Hayes City Store.
And you know what would be a great place to go celebrate Texas beating that BTA of the Sooners? How about Hayes City Store? There are very few restaurants that once you go to, you immediately know they're just special. Hayes City Store is certainly one of those. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. That sounds good without ever seeing it. They've got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts, all of it delicious. All of it certainly is from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and very tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, perfect for game days, maybe the Super Bowl. And they even have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on every Sunday. Hayes City Store is dog-friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. Join the folks at Hayes City Store and bring your entire crew. For more information, check out the website at HayesCityStoreTX.com. That's HayesCityStoreTX.com. What is Hayes City Store? It's uniquely Texas and a great atmosphere.
And I'm going to tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks, because whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. And of course, with high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops matchups almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. And they have it all, whether it's the NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, UFC, college basketball, whatever your flavor may be, Prize Picks has you covered. And of course, right now, all eyes are on the big game this weekend, and Prize Picks has a special max discount, which is live in the app now. Drake May just needs 1 passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in. And don't forget that Prize Picks is now available in all 50 states. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code ONTEXAS will get you $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Hey, a little bit of breaking news, Jerry and Blake. Gus Malzahn, longtime college football coach, high school football coach in the state of Arkansas, but head coach at Tulsa, Auburn, offense coordinator at multiple places, has announced his retirement this morning at Florida State. So he will no longer be the play caller for Mike Norvell at Florida State. Sounds like they're going to elevate one of their position coaches into that role at Florida State. But Gus Malzahn hanging up the whistle for Florida State in his coaching career.
Yeah, you got time for a story on him real quick? Sure, why not? So I met him at Springfield, because remember the Springfield guys, Texas was
Springfield, Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah, back in the day. So I went up to see him.
I think you meant Springdale, but that's
Springdale.
okay.
Sorry, Springdale, Arkansas. And I went up and met him, and it was great. We sat there and talked about all those guys. Obviously, Rhett Lashley played for him in high school as well. But so they were coming down for a practice, and they were playing in Shreveport. And they came down and practiced at Texas High, because Texas High had the only indoor facility that was really good back in that time in the area. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to come by and watch y'all's walk through. And he was like, oh, cool. Sure. We exchanged numbers. And I go down there, and Barry Norton, Coach Surratt was the OC then, I believe, at that time. Yeah, he was the OC there. So Barry Norton walks me in there, and I'm standing there watching, and Gus Malzahn has somebody come and kick me out of the place. And I was like, hey, man, you told me I could show up. And the same thing happened at Auburn camp when I was doing national. He knew I was going to be there. We're there. And I was at the indoor facility at Auburn. The opposite end of him, he had somebody come and kick me out. He was that kind of paranoid as a coach, like all those guys are. But he took it to the funniest degree. And I kind of laughed it off because it was funny. But that's how controlling of every environment as a coach he was. It was pretty – it was fun. I think the guy's a really, really good offensive coordinator, by the way. Does a really good job. But it was kind of funny. Two of the funnier things that had happened in my time, because it happened twice with the same person. And I was like, oh, he has full control of everything as a coach in a program, whatever it is. He wants to know any person that's in any of his facilities and why they're there. And it was pretty interesting to me.
I would not have laughed. I would have said, I'll tell you why. He could have easily told you not to come.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's save yourself a trip, bud.
Yeah.
That's not, anyways, he's no longer at Florida State. We'll see what that means for the Seminoles. They haven't exactly been great shakes with him there the last couple of years, but a lot of that could be due to personnel, in fact. And I think that's kind of what the problem has been at Florida State.
By the way, he's headed to the golf course. That dude golfs like he will golf 6 days a week.
We got some super chats that we need to jump over to. Got a couple from Jeff Carey here. We'll start with this one. Who's going to watch the Olympics? What events? I didn't even know the Olympics were taking place till someone said it in the chat.
I think they're 10 days away. Is that about right? In Cortina or something like that? Winter Olympics. What's your favorite Winter Olympic sport, Jerry?
Probably the one that has the best crashes. So probably downhill skiing. Thoughts out to Lindsey Vaughn, man. I think she just had another major knee injury.
Oh, yeah. She's got life fight it off or something.
Yeah, that's 4 for her. But somebody said curling. Curling is an interesting sport. I will say that.
It's hard for me to rectify that as a sport. Yeah, I mean, that's like, is bowling a sport? I just don't know. It's one of those. But that is by the way, that's an inside joke between me and my father-in-law, who used to be a big bowler. No, my point to this is, and the reason I even wanted to mention this is the Olympics. It's the 1980 U.S. hockey team, right, that beat the Russians. That was a seminal event of my childhood, actually, in sports. The U.S. beat the Russians in the semifinal game of the 1980 hockey championships, Olympic championships in Lake Placid. They came out with a new footage of that on Netflix, and I got a chance to watch some of that this weekend, and very, very interesting. It's just how that team all came together is still one of the great stories of my youth, in my opinion. So Al Michaels with the famous line, "Do you believe in miracles?" Still one of the best lines in all sports broadcasting as well.
And we got another super chat from Jeff. Thank you again, Jeff. He says, great second half, but OU is the worst finishing team in the country. What's our second half stats?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's when teams struggle, like Oklahoma. They struggled. And if you can get them into that, if you can get a little lead on Oklahoma men, we're talking about late in the game, they've struggled this season. There's no doubt about that. I mean, look, that again, they had lost to Arkansas by 4 at home, Alabama by 2 at home. Very tight games late. They lost that Missouri game was tough, man. Missouri made a shot. It could have been a foul call there. It happens, and it happens on the road in major conferences. But that is Oklahoma. They have struggled at the end of games this year, but Texas does a great job in the second half of games for the most part, which I think always leads back to having a really good coach that makes really good adjustments. And I think Sean Miller's that.
And then we got a super chat here from, I think it was Terrence. Yep. Thank you, Terrence. He says, hey, guys, that no tripping foul call almost gave Vic Schaefer a heart attack. He ripped that suit coat off.
Play the video.
Yeah, I do got a little video we can play that's should be good here. And yeah, he he is not happy at all. Very quick clip, but and what they showed you on TV, like I said earlier, it did no justice.
I think that was like Carlton's third foul, right? That was Justice Carlton's third foul in the game.
Right around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was not happy. I've never seen anyone turn that red that quick. All right, Samir here with the super chat. He says, as people who have sources, were you, Sark, and staff in other programs surprised at the portal? Many people saw it coming with only one window.
I think there's elements of it, Bobby. I think there's people. I think people will recalibrate in the portal for next go round in a couple of areas. I was talking to and it just so happened it happened to Texas, and it happened to a couple others. But I was talking to a college coach, said the one thing they were watching and learning from that is different than what they thought it would be was guys who went in the portal, whose teams had coaching changes, and how the higher percentage of those guys that actually ended up going back to the team they were at after entering the portal surprised some coaches, a couple of coaches I talked to. So I think every year there's going to be things that happen that you're going to be like, okay, are we going to go down this path? And I think that's one that'll be interesting next year is some really good players. Some flirted with the portal, never actually went in. A few guys went in the portal, ended up returning to the same school. It happened, obviously, the Michigan offensive lineman. Some Florida guys ended up staying. They never went in the portal, but they were flirting with it. Jaden Woods did go in and ended up going back, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of coaches, not just people who, LSU versus Ole Miss in some of those situations where Kewan Lacey, some of the offensive linemen stayed at Ole Miss, right? I think there's going to be some lessons learned there for people to recalibrate. I think the other big one, we can say what we want about Dabo, but I think people are going to start trying to bring receipts in the portal much more so next year and in the future, because what Dabo did was really good. I mean, that was really good. When a guy's already enrolled and in classes at your university and then walks in and says, I'm out, he had the time stamp of the whole thing. I think some schools are going to have to start bringing that in the future.
Question is, were there any surprises or did it go how? I think that to Jerry's point the brazenness of some actors in the process, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, and Clemson is a category that surprised me somewhat. I mean, that was extraordinarily brazen. I think that surprised me to some degree. The other thing that surprised me is, and I tried to think this through beforehand, I think that now that everybody has a little bit of money at least, you're seeing a leveling of the playing field to a degree. Instead of, Ohio State and Texas lost players in this portal section because they had good players that wanted to go find some place to go play at Baylor or at NC State Well, NC State doesn't have a lot of money, or didn't have a lot of money to spend in the portal prior to this year. Now with rev share, they do. Not a ton, but some. And so they can make a compelling offer to a Texas player that's a backup. I felt like that was going to happen. It happened a little bit more than I think some people are comfortable with, And so those are the two pieces to me that were maybe slightly different than what we thought about. Hey, Texas also this weekend, by the way, just switching gears here, played in the annual Alumni baseball game. Our Jeff Howe watched that game. He's going to join us here in a second, or actually, he's going to join us.
I jumped the gun. Sorry.
How you doing, bud?
I'm glad I remembered to unmute myself before talking. So we're off to a good start.
Is that a dig at Marcus there? Is that a dig?
No, it's 99 times out of 100. It's a ding at Blake. So
I've done well. I've done very well here lately.
Hey, Jeff, Texas Alumni baseball game. It is that's a sign that the season is actually getting ready to get started. Can you give us a couple and give fans out there that like baseball, Texas baseball, a couple of takeaways that you saw that might translate to this season?
I think the biggest one, and Schloss has talked about. First off, I think what I've learned is when Jim Schlossnagle praises a part of his roster, take it to the bank, listen to it, because when he's really excited about something, it usually comes to fruition. And he's talked a lot about pitching depth. And, man, they are deep. They are talented. On paper, it's probably the best pitching staff in terms of just depth and the quality of arms they've got. Probably you got to go back to probably 2021, that team that made the semifinals in Omaha. I don't know that they've got, we'll see when Valanta steps into that Friday role. I don't know if they've got a bona fide, number one first-round arm like that team had with Ty Madden. But, Sam Cozart looked really good this weekend. Brett Crossland, he's been kind of the buzz guy going back to the fall and in the early part of the winter. Big freshman, hard-throwing guy. They got a lot of power arms, guys that fit well in the SEC. And Jason Flores, I think, is going to have a chance to do some things. Other than Volantis and Luke Harrison, I think there's still a lot to be determined that they're getting sorted out right now. But, man, they're deep. They're talented. They've got a lot of guys in the mix for various bullpen roles. I think that'll allow them to use Ruger Riojas how they envisioned using him last year as kind of a stopper type guy that they weren't able to do. So, man, I just think, again, I can't say enough, Bobby, about the pitching depth and talent that they've got.
Hey, pitching depth and talent. What about the position players that you saw out there? Any that came to your mind or that you saw?
I'm excited about Casey Borba at first base. He was a guy that was obviously a David Pierce recruit. They're moving him to first base. One thing that they're really missing, and I don't know that they're going to have what they had last year with Kimball Schuessler from a defensive standpoint, who was really, really good. Schloss said that's probably the best defensive first base he's ever coached was what Schuessler gave him last year. But I'm excited about Casey Borba. I know the corner infield mix. You want guys that can thump a little bit. Borba can do that. Whether it's Josh Livingston or Cal Early or Timo Becerra at third, I think they'll be manageable there at least serviceable. But I'm excited about Borba at first base. And we didn't see and I think that was one takeaway, Bobby. We still haven't seen this team anywhere near full strength. Adrian Rodriguez still coming back from the hand injury. Jonah Williams still trying to get back into kind of baseball shape, if you will. The plan was a couple weeks ago to kind of get him some live at bats. I mean, other than maybe going to the cage once a week, I don't know that he picked up a bat all that much this fall for good reason. So getting him back in the mix. And everybody's been really excited about Anthony Pack, another one of these freshmen. I think that's another big takeaway. This freshman class, it's kind of their first full cycle of recruits. You can see, man, it's just there's a different kind of cat that came into this program with this freshman class.
What about did Carson Tenney play the Notre Dame catcher that came in that they've been talking so much about?
Yeah, he did. It's funny, the couple times I saw he got struck out twice, including one. That's why I was so impressed with Sam Cozart. I mean, Carson Tenney is a veteran hitter, an All-American caliber hitter. And Sam Cozart, they had a hit and run on, and Cozart got him with just, a nasty breaking ball. I mean, Tenney's down on one knee swinging. So You fool a hitter like that, you're doing something. But yeah, Tenney's going to hit. I think Aiden Robbins, the Seton Hall transfer, is going to hit. It's one thing that I want to see, Bobby, from a position player standpoint. And this is going to be all across the SEC, all across college baseball. Roster sizes, you're going from 40 down to 34. So I think the talent's going to be spread out a little bit more. And I don't think teams are going to be as deep as they have been the last few years. So, how deep is this team going to be? I think they did a pretty decent job of the portal. Timo Becerra, I mentioned him on the infield. He's a guy that can be your primary backup at third base, shortstop, and second base. I mean, those are the kind of guys you need to get out of the portal. And that outfield mix, again, I think Aiden Robbins is going to be kind of the ringleader there. But, yeah, once Jonah gets back into kind of that baseball frame of mind, and if Anthony Pack or whoever that third outfielder is going to be, I think they're going to be good. Yeah, Carson Tenney, when we met with him in the fall, I got to talk to him for the first time, and somebody asked him about, Dish Fox traditionally a pitcher's park. What do you think about playing here? He's like, I'm just here to hit bombs. Yes, yes, indeed you are, sir. So I'm looking forward. Everybody should be looking forward to watching Carson Tenney hit at Dish Falk and everywhere else Texas will play this year.
It's like that kid that gets interviewed at the Little League World Series. And they ask him what he does, and he says, "I hit dingers."
Carson Tenney's that kid, but he's hitting 390, 400-foot bombs.
Hey, you, based on what you've seen and heard and talked to Schloss and those guys behind the scenes, you feel like Texas is truly a top 5 team in the country this year?
When you can pitch and play defense at the level that they're going to be able to, that they should, yeah, you're going to have a chance. I think the offense might be – I wouldn't be shocked if it's a little slow to come around, because even you look at Texas history in the portal era, even guys they've had that have worked out, guys coming to Texas their first year, I think it can kind of be kind of play tricks on your mind a little bit, because you're at the Dish, you start walking through the locker room and you see the national players of the year, you think about all the tradition there. It can mess with guys' heads a little bit. Even Ivan Melendez coming from junior college struggled a little bit. Skylar Messenger, Mike Antico, I mean, they've had really good hitters that struggled in their first year, at least early on, and then picked it up. So I wouldn't be shocked if they got off to a little bit of a slow start. But again, the two big time transfers, Tenney and Aiden Robbins, they're proven college hitters. They'll figure it out at some point.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much, bud. We appreciate it. Appreciate you coming in.
And by the way, Jeff's in 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Jeff and I, for those that just came in, Jeff and I are going to have a 15-minute interview with Sean Miller, which we're going to record coming up here at 9:30. We'll have for you later today.
Thank you, Jeff. See you, buddy.
See you guys.
Hook up.
And I want to answer this real quick to finish out with baseball. Derek asks, when is the First Bases Loaded show? We may start this week, or maybe next, but by next week for sure. So we don't have an official answer yet, but we'll start here very, very soon. Okay, guys, we got time for a couple of more questions, and we got a little bit more to talk about. Let's do the super chat here from Freelance Society. Jerry, is there a young high school player out there that is a super freak, the next Newton, Vince, Adrian, Peterson, Clowney, etc.?
Yes. DJ Jacobs, the number 1 prospect. Here's his junior tape out of Blessed Trinity in Roswell. His father played at Georgia. He committed to Ohio State. Saw him at the Under Armour game. He was on campus for it's easy to see which one he is. He's number 15, if you need to know. You'll figure it out on this tape. He is 6'5.5", 240, and he gets a similar jump off the ball. And I'm not saying it's the same explosivity. He's similar off the ball as Colin Simmons. He is jumping snap counts all season long. He is a hellacious-looking guy in person. He is a super physical player. This poor lineman had no chance. And this guy has big-time ability. Texas got him on campus. It's a big NIL deal. He committed to Ohio State, but he's still going to take visits. Because of his size and his athleticism combo, obviously he's grown up ball. He's a super smart kid. I think he had 101 tackles, 30 TFLs, and 15 sacks as a junior in Atlanta area. This guy's pretty elite, guys. I mean, this is about as good as you'll see in high school with that size coming off the edge. I mean, he's at a super elite prospect. He punishes guys physically. As you can see on contact, he is super physical. He's got really good hands. He will be a big-time impact player in college wherever he ends up.
How big? You said 6'6", what, 250?
6'5.5", 235, 240 at Under Armour.
And what high school in Atlanta area is he
at? He's at Roswell Blessed Trinity, which have had some really good players, a lot of pro kids to come through there. But he is a wrecking ball, man. He is a wrecking ball. And Bobby, I mean, look, you see it. He is a snap count anticipator at his size.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he's got the athleticism and the physicality and the hands, strong hands. He is tremendous prospect. He is ranked number 1 in the country in 27, and I certainly would say he's the best I've seen in that class. And I'm not sure it's close. He's really good. Really good.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you leave this guy unblocked, he is knocking a helmet off of somebody in high school. He's a stud.
Hey, Blake, I know you like baseball, Texas baseball, and you were talking about the first Bases Loaded show. Anything else you wanted to add on baseball before we move on?
Well, unlike Jeff, I only got to see about half of the game because we had baseball ourselves. But from what I saw, well, like Jeff said, pitching, it's just going to be so good. And I've kind of beat this drum over the past month or so. Again, you can make an argument for Texas to be ranked anywhere in the top 5. I think they're going to be absolutely loaded in every aspect of the game. So it should be a really fun year. Knock on wood, as long as, obviously you have the injury bug and stuff that can always happen. But if they stay healthy, it should be a really fun year for Texas fans. So one that you'll want to pay attention to from start to finish, definitely.
Good. That's kind of what sometimes there are seasons where you're just kind of like, baseball may not be that good. Good to hear that Sloss has them going back in his second year. I mean, they won the Big 12 regular season in his first year.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to do for an encore? National championship? Maybe.
Hey, Blake, Mitchell Turner, can we bring up his huddle? Texas offered yesterday, and it's a guy I've seen on tape because I knew there was interest. Is Mitchell Turner out of Louisville, Mississippi, is a 6'3", 275, 280 pounds, 6'2 and a half defensive tackle. And he is not rated by anybody yet. I think this guy's tremendous. He is a slightly shorter arm version of Jamion Winfield. First time I saw Winfield. This kid is going to go from unranked to, in my opinion, one of the top defensive tackle prospects in the 27 class. I wanted to bring him up because Texas offered him yesterday. Kenny Baker was through Mississippi. This guy's explosiveness off the ball is the real deal now at his size. It was exactly what Jamion Winfield looked like when I first saw him at Richardson High. So wanted to make you guys aware, this is a guy that Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, this happens in Mississippi. Not a lot of people go out to schools, high schools in Mississippi. So this kid is one of the most explosive defensive linemen in the country in 27, and he's not ranked by anybody yet, but he damn sure will be. I mean, this kid is really good football player, and he has got some burst and some natural power in his lower base. And when he gets to 300 pounds, he is going to be a problem at the next level. I mean, he wins off the snap count with his first 2 or 3 steps, not first 2 or 3 steps. This guy's a stud football player and a stud prospect out of Louisville, Mississippi. And Texas offered him yesterday. Kenny Baker had been through there in January, and I watched him on tape last week, and I was like, this guy's got a chance to be a monster. It's very similar thoughts to Jamion Winfield, just with a little shorter arms than, and I don't mean by 2 or 3 inches. I'm just saying a little shorter arms. But this kid's going to be a problem. I think this is a great offer by Texas. We'll see where it goes. First offer of February.
Yeah, no, in Mississippi too.
Yep.
They're gonna recruit the entire Southeast.
Yeah,
that's welcome to the SEC.
Yeah,
and it won't just be Louisiana and Florida. It's going to be every single state.
And Mississippi, and I told this story on OTF.com, and Bobby and I have talked about this before. This is recruiting in Mississippi. When Bobby and I were at 24/7 Sports, Bobby had moved to a higher role than national rankings. I was over national rankings. Bobby got a call from a coaching connect, and he called me in the office. Bobby was like, "Hey, there's a guy in Mississippi I think we need to go check out. He's not ranked. Nobody really knows who he is. He's committed to Mississippi State." So I go down to Houston County High School in Mississippi, and I see the kid, and he's an unbelievable prospect. Unbelievable prospect. This is how things go in Mississippi State. In Mississippi, that whole staff was Mississippi State grads and fans. They had kept the kid hidden, didn't let him go to camps on purpose to keep so he didn't blow up. Nobody had seen the guy nationally that covers and ranks guys nationally. I walked away from there, and I told Bobby, I said, this guy may be as good as there is in the country. We ranked him number 2 overall before anybody else had him ranked. That was Chris Jones.
Yeah.
They hide guys in Mississippi.
They absolutely do.
They hide them.
Fletcher Cox was a little bit in that category too. They did not let him go to mini camps late.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were brazen about it, Bobby. The coaches were like, "Oh no, we don't want you to write this guy up." And I was like, "Dude, I mean, what do you want me to do? He's one of the best players in the country, one of the best prospects in the country. What do you want me to do?" And then Alabama and everybody tried to come in on him, and it didn't happen. He signed with Mississippi State. That was Chris Jones. Nobody knew about him in high school. His senior year.
Does he have the most sacks in postseason play of any player in the NFL for the Chiefs? I think he may have. I think that's one of the stats that he has. The interior defense. Chris Jones, for those unaware, interior defensive tackles for the Chiefs that's been playing for 15 years in the NFL. Yeah. He's an absolute freak.
Absolute.
All right, Bobby, can you tell us one more time, please, sir, about John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group?
Yeah, thanks to John, President, Longhorn Wealth Management. John's proud Texas X's a life member who has served on the Dallas, Texas board for 15 years and now helps lead the Collin County X's chapter while consistently serving his fellow Longhorns as a certified financial planner and founder of Longhorn Wealth Management. John's thankful and proud to have been recognized just last week as a member of the prestigious Longhorn 100 for 2026. To celebrate this recognition as one of the fastest growing companies in the world, founded, owned, or led by UT alums, John is offering all OTF fans a free private consultation to learn how someone like John can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your free private consultation with John, call the Longhorn Wealth Team, 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net. Again, www.longhornwealth.net. Congrats to John on this accomplishment of the Longhorn 100, and hook them to all the OTF family.
Hey, Blake, I do want to bring this up. Dave Atchley,
Yeah,
a defending national champion, season begins this Friday. The UTSA Invitational. I think they're playing UTSA in Nebraska. Is that correct, Blake? If y'all haven't checked out the ticket prices for that, go take a peek. $350, I think, for Tegan's first start of the year. And I think that's what I saw on Friday was $350.
Yeah, that's what someone was telling. Carl Padilla was telling us, actually.
Yes, I looked that up. I was like, wow, $350.
Way up there. That's
so
crazy.
Good, best of luck to the ladies as they begin their defense of the 2025, I guess it was, national championship.
Yep. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, we're getting asked quite a bit about. Today is realignment day for the UIL.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people asking questions, what we think, all that kind of stuff. It just came out 19 minutes ago. I've briefly been looking at it occasionally, when Bobby makes a read or whatever. So I haven't really had a chance to digest it. A lot of changes being made. And they did the other sports a little bit different from what I had just had a coach text me. I haven't really got to see what she's talking about yet, but it's a little bit different this go round for sure.
I looked at one district, and I'm a Friendswood grad, and Friendswood football, best of luck to you next year. Richmond, Randall, Iowa Colony, and Angleton in the new school, Katie Foreman. Gird up your loins, Mustangs football players. You're going to need it.
Speaking of Randall, they opened the season with South Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
That's been the state game here lately. So a heck of an opener for Texas high school football in 6-7 months, somewhere around there. But yeah, we'll do a little bit deeper dive into it when we get off there, and then maybe have some thoughts. It's just a little too early and haven't had enough time to really get into all that information to have opinions on it. But yeah, it's gonna. Oh, and if that's true, Duncanville and North Crowley in the same district. That's a heck of a district as well already. I don't even know who the rest.
That's unbelievable. If that's
yeah.
I mean, wow.
So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I want to thank John along with Mint Mobile, Hayes City Store, and Prize Picks all for sponsoring today's show. Thank you all for tuning in as well. From Marcus Myers joining us and Jeff Howell to talk a little baseball. Bobby, what do you have for everyone later today?
Well, Jerry's got that interview with coach, head basketball coach of the men's team, Sean Miller. That should be fun. I hope he has some good one-liners for us that we can play for you guys tomorrow as well. And also, full interview will be up on Texas football later today. Also, we have some other news and notes as well as live stream tonight. Rod Babers, Coach Shipley, CJ Vogel be joining y'all, talk a little football, see what they want to talk about tonight as well. But you guys have a good week. Longhorns had a good weekend beating some Sooners this weekend. So you guys take care. Have a good week ahead of you and hook 'em horns, guys.
That's right. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. And we got you covered that way around the clock and on TexasFootball.com as well, of course. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you